Hi math students, Miss Carol here again, and we are now talking about Project 5, Lesson 23. We're still talking about solving systems of equations, and this time we're going to be using the substitution method. So far we've talked about graphing, we've talked about elimination, and now we're using substitution. So let's go ahead and tackle these problems. In some cities, the fine that has to be paid for a speeding violation is a function of the number of miles per hour over the speed limit that the driver was traveling. In Indianapolis, the function is f of x equal 8x plus 60. In Daytona, the function is g of x equals 6x plus 104, where x represents the number of miles per hour over the speed limit. James got ticketed for a speeding violation in both cities. He was going the same speed both times. The speed limit was the same both times, and he had to pay the same fine both times. Okay. So, let's see. So the number of miles per hour over is going to be the same. And we know that we've got two functions here, y equals f of x and y equals g of x. And y represents the fine paid for each ticket, where x represents the number of miles per hour over the speed limit. Use your knowledge of systems of equations and substitution to determine how many miles over the speed limit James was traveling and how much he had to pay for each fine. Okay, so let's scroll down here. And so since we know that y equals f of x and y equals g of x, we also know that f of x equals g of x. Okay, there's no weird negatives in there. We don't have to add them together. We just know that f of x equals g of x. That makes it super convenient for us because we can then set those two equations equal to each other to solve for x. So if we just scroll back up real quick and look at our equations, we have got 8x plus 60 and 6x plus 104. So 8x plus 60 equals 6x plus 104. That's pretty easy, okay? That is f of x equals g of x. So we've got one equation and one variable. This is essentially the substitution method when we say y equals something and y equals something else. We set those two somethings equal to each other, and we've substituted 8x plus 60 for y, and we've substituted 6x plus 104 for y, so we can set them equal to each other and solve for x. Okay. This is moving pretty quickly here. Let's go ahead. The next question is going to ask us to solve that. So we'll just rewrite it here. And I'm going to just take it step by step. First of all, I'm going to try and keep my numbers positive. So I'm going to move these 6x over to the left and 60 to the right by subtracting each. So I'm going to say 8x minus 6x plus 60 equals 6x minus 6x plus 104. Okay, that's the first step. I'm moving the x's only. 8x minus 6x is 2x, and I've eliminated that variable from the right side. So 2x plus 60 equals 104. I'm going to now move the 60 over by subtracting 60 from both sides. This goes away, and I get 2x equals 44. 104 minus 60 is 44. Now, last step here is to divide both sides by 2 so that I can get x all by itself. X equals 22. Okay, so that I just go up here and remember what x is. X is the number of miles per hour over the speed limit. Okay, we don't know what the actual speed limit was, but we can figure out the number of miles per hour over. So he was going 22 miles per hour over the speed limit. And we can go ahead and write that in here. So we would just, you would type in 22 right there. Okay. And since we know that x is 22, we can solve for y, which is the amount of the fine. So I can use either of these equations. Remember, each of these is y. So I can use either of them to figure out how much the fine was. I'm going to go ahead and do 6x plus 104. So I'm going to say 6x plus 104 equals g of x, which is the same as y. So then if I plug in 22 for x, that's saying 6 times 22 plus 104 equals g at 22 equals my fine y. So 6 times 22 is 132 plus 104 is g at 22 or y. 104 plus 32, that's a really steep fine. That is a $236 ticket. And just to verify here, I'm going to go ahead and plug 22 in this one and make sure that I get the same answer. So 8 times 22 plus 60 equals f at 22 or y. So 8 times 22 is 176. And if I add 60 to that, I get $236 equals f at 22 equals y. So my answer here is 236. So for 22 miles an hour over the speed limit, it cost $236. Yikes. Okay. Last question here is a typing one. Explain the steps you took to find the values of x and y. How do you know you are right? Can you think of another way to solve this system and get the same answer? Okay, so let's just kind of take these one at a time. One, we substituted the f of x and g of x equations for y. We then set them equal to each other so that we could solve for x. Once we knew x, we could find y with either equation. Okay, so that was our method of doing it. We knew we were right. It was verified because both equations give us 236 for y when x is 22. Okay, that's the third question or second question, and the last or third question is can you think of another way to solve? We could also have graphed the two lines and looked for the point of, that's an F, of intersection at 22 and 236. And it's important to note that you could have also used the elimination method. Either elimination, graphing, or substitution would work. And in this case, because we'd already had each of these equations set equal to y, it was really easy to use substitution. Okay, that's all I've got for lesson 23. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you back here for lesson 24.